Welcome, gentlemen. Let's be honest for a moment. Every man watching this has been told, just be open, tell her everything. Honesty is the best policy. Sounds noble, right? But here's the controversial truth. Not everything about a man should be put on the table. In fact, some truths, when exposed, can destroy the very respect and attraction you're working so hard to build. That's what we're unpacking today. 5 secrets every man must never tell women. Now, before you jump to conclusions, this isn't about lying or manipulating. No, this is about wisdom, about understanding the subtle line between honesty and oversharing. Men often believe that unloading every thought, every struggle, and every detail of their past will make them seem more trustworthy. But the reality, some confessions make you look weak, unstable, or less of a leader in her eyes. And once that image shifts, it's almost impossible to get it back. Here's where the controversy comes in. Women will tell you they want to know everything. They'll say, "Don't hide anything from me." But men, you must understand this. Sometimes people ask for more than they can actually handle. What sounds romantic in theory often backfires in practice. So in this conversation, I'm not just showing you what those 5 secrets are, I'm also teaching you why keeping them is crucial, and what you should do instead. Think of it like a playbook for self-preservation in relationships. Not to deceive, but to maintain your strength, respect, and masculinity in her eyes. So buckle up, because by the end of this, you'll see clearly. Some truths are better left unsaid. And the men who understand this are the ones who always hold the upper hand. 1. Never reveal all your fears. Gentlemen, let's begin with the very first and perhaps the most critical secret, your deepest fears. Now, don't misunderstand this. I'm not saying you should walk around acting like a superhero who feels nothing. Fear is human. We all have it. But here's the problem. When a man lays bare every fear he carries, especially to a woman he's trying to lead, love, or protect, he strips away the mystery and strength she subconsciously looks for. Women are naturally drawn to men who appear grounded, who can stand tall even in the middle of uncertainty. The moment you spill every anxiety, every hidden doubt, every shadow that haunts your mind, you run the risk of lowering yourself in her eyes. Think about it. If you sit across from her and confess that you're terrified of losing your job, that you feel inadequate compared to other men, or that you constantly worry about failing in life, how does she receive that? On the surface, she may nod and tell you she appreciates your openness. But deep down, attraction often shifts. Instead of seeing you as her rock, she starts questioning if you're steady enough to be that rock at all. Men who unload their fears place women in the role of comforter and fixer. That dynamic rarely ends well. Now, am I saying you should bottle everything up? Absolutely not. But you must be selective. A man needs brothers, mentors, or a trusted circle where he can expose those raw nerves. With your woman, your approach has to be different. Share enough to be real, but not so much that she starts doubting your ability to lead. Fear, when managed wisely, can even inspire respect. When you acknowledge the existence of challenges without crumbling under them, you show resilience. The key is balance. Imagine a captain steering a ship through a storm. If the captain stands before his crew trembling, admitting he has no clue what to do, panic spreads. But if he steadies himself, admits the storm is dangerous, and then takes the wheel with determination, the crew will trust him. That's the position you hold in your relationship. She doesn't need to hear every tremor in your soul. She needs to see the man who can still steer the ship. So, never reveal all your fears. Keep your core strength intact. Let your vulnerabilities be seen in controlled doses. And always remember, the man who manages his fears without dumping them is the man she will follow. Trust and respect. 2. Don't expose financial weakness. Let's talk about money, one of the greatest sources of stress, pride, and power in a man's life. Here's the truth. You must never expose your financial weakness. Why? Because whether people admit it or not, money is tied to respect. It's not about flashing wealth or pretending to be rich. It's about protecting your position as a man who is capable, resourceful, and in control of his direction. When you sit down with a woman and start confessing how broke you are, how you can't seem to manage your finances, or how scared you are about the future, you put yourself in a dangerous spot. On the surface, she may comfort you, encourage you, or tell you it doesn't matter. But deep within, doubt grows. Doubt about your ability to lead. Doubt about your ability to provide. Doubt about your ability to protect her from the harsh realities of life. And once that seed of doubt is planted, attraction begins to shift. But here's the motivational twist. Financial weakness today does not have to define you tomorrow. Every great man has faced moments where money was scarce. What separates the ordinary from the extraordinary is how you handle those seasons. Instead of exposing your weakness, use that energy to fuel your grind. Get disciplined, get focused, and start building. Women are not inspired by excuses, they are inspired by action. When she sees you hustling, creating opportunities, and refusing to stay down, that's when respect grows. Think about it. The most powerful men in history were not born wealthy. They built themselves, they failed, they rose again, and they kept pushing until their financial story changed. Your financial weakness should be your private motivation, not a public confession. Tell yourself daily, I may not have much now, but I am building. I am moving forward. I will not stay in this place. That kind of mindset transforms a man into someone unstoppable. When you carry yourself with confidence and determination, she feels it. She may not know every detail about your bank account, but she will sense your drive. And that drive is far more attractive than a list of excuses. Remember, weakness repels, but progress attracts. So, don't expose your financial weakness. Guard your dignity. Work in silence. Let your results speak. Instead of telling her what you lack, show her who you're becoming. That's the man she wants to stand beside. Not the one confessing defeat, but the one who inspires her with vision and resilience. Your financial situation can change. Your determination can rewrite your story. And when you carry yourself like a man in control of his destiny, even in the toughest times, you will always command respect. 3. Keep past relationships in check. Here's a subject that gets many into trouble, talking about past relationships. It's tempting, isn't it? You want to be transparent, to prove you've got nothing to hide. But this is where wisdom separates the right from the wrong. Let's break it down. The wrong approach is simple. Oversharing. Telling her how much you loved your ex, how she hurt you, or worse, comparing her to the woman sitting across from you. That is a straight road to disaster. The moment you bring too much of your past into your present, you give your current woman reasons to feel insecure, suspicious, or undervalued. It also signals that you haven't fully moved on, and no woman wants to feel like she's competing with ghosts. Another wrong move is boasting about past conquests. Some men think this makes them look experienced or desirable. In reality, it often backfires. She begins to question your loyalty, your values, and whether you see her as a prize or just another chapter. Respect is lost the moment she feels she's being measured against others. Now let's look at the right approach. It's not about hiding the fact that you had a past. Every adult knows relationships don't come out of thin air, but you keep it brief, balanced, and relevant. If she asks, you acknowledge, yes, I've had relationships before. I learned a lot from them, and they shaped me into who I am today. That's enough. You show maturity without giving unnecessary details. Correcting mistakes here is all about discipline. If you've already said too much, stop immediately. Don't keep feeding the fire. Instead, redirect the conversation toward the present and the future. Show her that your energy is invested in her, not in stories about women who no longer matter. If insecurities arise because of what you shared, counter them with consistent actions that prove loyalty and presence. Words alone won't fix it, your behavior will. Here's the key lesson. The past is a teacher, not a conversation piece. Use it to grow, not to burden your current relationship. When you keep past relationships in check, you protect her sense of security and maintain your image as a man who lives forward, not backward. So remember, gentlemen, never glorify or dwell on your past loves. Acknowledge, learn, and move on. Your woman doesn't need to know the play-by-play. She needs to feel like she's the only one that matters today. That's the correction. That's the wisdom. And that's how you keep her respect. 4. Avoid oversharing family issues. Let's get real with this one. Family issues. Every man has them in some shape or form. Maybe you grew up in a broken home. Maybe your parents fought often, or maybe your relatives still pull you into constant drama. These things are real, and they leave scars. But here's the hard truth. Oversharing those family struggles with a woman you're trying to build with can weaken her trust in your ability to rise above it all. I've seen it play out many times. A friend of mine once got serious with a woman he really liked. On their 3rd or 4th date, he went into detail about how toxic his family was, how his siblings constantly borrowed money, how his father never respected him, and how his mother criticized every move he made. He thought he was being open, vulnerable, and real. At first she listened patiently, even sympathized, but slowly the respect began to fade. She started to see him as someone weighed down by baggage he couldn't control, someone who might bring that same dysfunction into their relationship. In less than 3 months, the attraction was gone, not because she was cold-hearted, but because he put his family's chaos ahead of his own identity. The mistake many men make is confusing honesty with unloading. Yes, you should be authentic, but that doesn't mean making her your therapist. When you paint your family issues in graphic detail, you plant seeds of doubt about your stability. She wonders if your family will interfere, if the drama will spill into her life, or if you're simply too entangled to be your own man. So how do you handle it the right way? First, accept that every family has flaws, including hers. When the subject comes up, acknowledge your reality without giving it power over you. Instead of saying, "My family's a disaster and I can't stand them," you say, "We've had our challenges, but I've learned how to handle them and focus on building my own life." That response communicates maturity, leadership, and growth. Here's the key. You don't deny your past, but you don't let it define your present. You draw boundaries with family privately, and you show her through your actions that your loyalty to her is stronger than your attachment to old dysfunctions. A man who can rise above family chaos without dragging it into his relationship earns both admiration and respect. So remember this. Women don't expect you to come from perfection, but they do expect you to stand as your own man. Don't overshare the messy details. Show her you can handle whatever life throws at you. That's strength, that's leadership, and that's how you turn family struggles into proof of your resilience, not a weakness to be exposed. 5. Never admit every insecurity. Gentlemen, let's face it, every man has insecurities. Maybe you don't feel tall enough. Maybe you think you're not handsome enough. Maybe you worry that your career isn't where it should be. These thoughts live in every man's mind. But here's the truth. You must never admit every insecurity to a woman. Why? Because insecurities, once spoken without control, can take on a life of their own and shape the way she sees you. Think about it like this. You might look in the mirror and see flaws, but if you keep pointing them out, others will start seeing them too. When you confess every little thing that bothers you, I hate the way I look. I don't feel good enough. I think other men are better than me. You don't just share. You condition her to see you through the same negative lens you've created for yourself. Attraction feeds on strength, not self-doubt. But here's the motivational truth. Your insecurities are not meant to be confessed. They are meant to be conquered. They are signals pointing to areas where you need growth. Instead of unloading them, use them as fuel. If you're insecure about your body, hit the gym and build the physique you want. If you're insecure about your finances, get serious about your hustle and start building wealth. If you're insecure about confidence, push yourself into situations that challenge you until strength becomes second nature. Understand this. Women are drawn to progress, not perfection. They don't expect you to have zero insecurities, but they respect the man who takes action instead of crying over his weaknesses. A man who acknowledges his flaws privately but fights to improve them publicly is a man who earns admiration. Here's how to reframe it. Instead of admitting, "I don't feel good enough," tell yourself, "I may not be where I want to be, but I'm on the path, and no one is going to stop me." That's the mindset shift. You don't drown in insecurity. You rise because of it. And remember, insecurity is not your enemy. It's a teacher. It tells you where to grow, what to sharpen, and what to overcome. Every man who has achieved greatness once looked in the mirror and saw weakness. The difference is, they didn't let it define them. They turned it into fire. So here's the bottom line. Never admit every insecurity. Protect your confidence, guard your presence, and use those insecurities as stepping stones to a stronger version of yourself. When she looks at you, let her see not a man begging for reassurance, but a man who keeps climbing, who keeps fighting, and who refuses to let insecurity dictate his story. That's the kind of man who inspires, who leads, and who wins. 6. Hold back on future doubts. One of the easiest traps to fall into in relationships is talking too much about your doubts for the future. And I don't mean healthy conversations about goals and dreams. I'm talking about those deep admissions where you tell a woman you're not sure where you're going in life, that you don't know if you'll ever make it, or that you constantly fear the future. It might feel honest, but it often works against you in ways you don't realize. Let's break this down clearly and educate ourselves on the real impact. When a man shares his doubts excessively, he communicates instability. A woman may start to wonder, if he doesn't trust his own future, why should I trust being part of it? Remember, attraction is tied to security. She wants to believe she's with a man who, no matter what obstacles come, is determined to push through and find a way. When you fill her ears with doubt, you take away the very foundation she's looking for, certainty and leadership. But there's a difference between being realistic and being doubtful. Realistic men acknowledge challenges. Doubtful men get stuck in them. For example, it's fine to say, "I'm working on my career, and it's tough right now, but I know I'll get there." That shows awareness and resilience. But saying, "I don't know if I'll ever succeed," teaches her to see you as defeated before you've even tried. The first statement builds trust, the second destroys it. So how do you handle future doubts the right way? The answer is simple. Reframe them. When fear creeps in, translate it into determination. Instead of unloading your uncertainty on her, share your plan, your vision, and the steps you're taking. A woman doesn't need you to have everything figured out, but she does need to see that you're working towards something. This is what creates inspiration and reassurance. Think about leaders you admire. Did they walk around announcing they weren't sure if they could make it? Number. They acknowledged challenges, but always projected faith in their mission. You must adopt the same mindset. If you have doubts, process them privately, journal them, or talk them through with a mentor. But don't let them define the way you speak to the woman beside you. In the end, the lesson is clear. Never hand over your uncertainty like a burden. Instead, transform it into fuel. Speak of the future with courage, even when the path isn't clear. That's what makes you stand out as a man. Not the absence of fear, but the presence of vision. A man with vision, even in uncertain times, is the man a woman will follow. 7. Control secrets about your ambition. Let's close with a truth that every strong man must learn. Never fully expose the depth of your ambition. Now, ambition is powerful. It's the fire that wakes you up early, keeps you grinding late, and pushes you through obstacles that would break the average man. But here's where many go wrong. They reveal too much, too soon. They tell a woman every dream, every plan, every future move in such detail that the mystery and power behind it disappears. Ambition, when spoken recklessly, can sound like empty talk. When you're constantly saying, "One day I'll do this, one day I'll achieve that," without the results to back it up, you risk looking like a dreamer with no execution. And once she starts seeing you as a man who talks more than he delivers, respect fades. But here's the motivational truth. Ambition is best shown through results, not endless words. The men who leave a mark on history didn't broadcast their every move. They worked in silence, then shocked the world with outcomes. You must adopt that same principle. Share enough to inspire, but hold back enough to keep her curious. Let her see the results of your drive, not the entire blueprint. Imagine this. Instead of saying, "I'm going to build a business empire one day," you say, "I'm working on something important right now, and soon you'll see the results." That small shift changes everything. You move from sounding like a dreamer to sounding like a doer. She sees confidence. She feels your certainty, and she respects the mystery of what you're building. Here's why this matters. Ambition is magnetic. It pulls people toward you. But uncontrolled ambition, spilled in every conversation, loses its edge. When you control your ambition, when you guard it, protect it, and let your actions speak, you become the man others believe in without needing to convince them. So, men, guard the details of your vision. Don't let everyone, including the woman you're with, know every piece of your puzzle. Inspire with glimpses, motivate with your progress, and let the results prove who you are becoming. Because a man who controls his ambition commands respect, and a man who commands respect will always stand apart. Remember this. Ambition revealed too early is just talk. Ambition executed with discipline becomes legacy. Be the man who chooses legacy. Here's the bottom line. Not every truth belongs on the table. The 5 secrets we've uncovered are about protecting your strength, your respect, and your position as a leader in any relationship. This isn't about deception, it's about discipline. A man who controls what he reveals, who knows when to speak and when to remain silent, is a man who always holds the upper hand. So guard your fears, manage your words, protect your vision, and let your actions speak louder than confessions. Remember, mystery fuels respect, and respect keeps attraction alive. Stay wise, stay strong,